We've all seen it before on the news headlines, and we always think it will never happen to me. But for some of you, this may one day become a terrifying reality. Each year, the fire service attends almost 500,000 fires, in which over 700 people lose their lives. Luckily, no one was killed in this fire, but 60 elderly people had to be evacuated. It could have been much worse. The aim of this video is to help prevent such a fire occurring in your care home. All care homes have similar fire risks. Under the Health and Safety at Work Act, it's the responsibility of all members of staff to be aware of the risk of fire and to understand basic fire prevention. And it's the aim of this video to make you more aware of the necessary precautions and to understand the emergency procedures. The greatest fire risks are not created by buildings, but by the people and objects inside them. It is therefore of vital importance that you, as a new or experienced member of staff, are familiar with the fire precautions in your care home. Before we look at means of preventing fire, let's look at how fires start in the first place. In order to have fire, we need three things: fuel, oxygen, and heat. This is known as the triangle of fire. Get all three together in the right proportion and we have fire. Fire prevention is simply a matter of keeping these three elements at a safe distance from each other. A lot of fire prevention involves nothing more than basic common sense. For example, don't leave flammable materials on radiators to dry. Empty waste paper baskets before they become full. Only allow smoking in one pre-designated area that can be checked regularly. Always keep a lookout for potential fire hazards. This heater is too close to the chair. What if the blanket fell onto it? Ashtrays should be attached to stands, not allowed to rest on the arm of a chair where they can easily be knocked over. Keep corridors and staircases free from obstructions. Don't store flammable materials in corridors or on landings where residents may try to conceal a lighted cigarette. And keep storerooms locked. If you get called away, check first that all heat sources, such as cookers or irons, are turned off. Can you see any fire hazards in this room? What about the television? And the lamp? Keep electrical equipment switched off and unplugged when not in use. And empty waste paper baskets regularly. Note all unusual occurrences, such as a workman in the lift motor room, so that additional checks can be made. The protection of your home can only be as good as the weakest link, and that is especially true at night when any danger or problem can be magnified out of proportion. A late evening check of both equipment and residents, especially those who are a known risk, is very important. Check, recheck, and double check. Fires can start in any part of the home by many different means. You should be aware of the danger areas and take appropriate precautions. The high-risk areas are known as fire hazard rooms. These include the following: kitchens, laundry rooms, stores for highly combustible materials such as linen stores, boiler rooms, lift motor rooms, and large day rooms for 10 or more people. Make sure that cooking is not left unattended. Also ensure that during a fire drill, or in the event of a real fire, all cooking appliances are turned off. Other common hazards encountered in kitchens include towels or other flammable materials stored close to sources of heat. Fire blankets and fire extinguishers should be located in easily accessible places, clearly visible and away from heat sources. Chip pan fires are a common cause of kitchen fires, which if not handled correctly can have disastrous consequences. Never use water to extinguish liquid fires, or this could be the result. Always use a foam extinguisher or preferably a fire blanket. Storerooms can pose a particularly high fire risk. All flammable materials and liquids should be kept in a locked room. This includes bed linen, aerosols and cleaning chemicals. They should be kept as clean and tidy as possible. This storeroom would not be acceptable. Boiler rooms must not be used as storage areas. They pose a high risk and are usually unattended, so it must be ensured that the area is kept clean and tidy at all times. Do not use it to dry laundry. Ensure that boilers are regularly cleaned and serviced. The fire door is a vital barrier between you and the fire. It will hold back both heat and smoke for up to 20 minutes. Remember, in 99% of fatal fires, it's the smoke, not the burning, that kills. As you can see here, the fire door, when closed, forms an effective barrier between the smoke and the rest of the building. In order for fire doors to be effective in the event of a fire, they must be kept closed. Never wedge them open for convenience, ventilation, or any other purpose, and always ensure that they are properly closed after use. Some homes have fire doors with magnetic closers which can be kept open during busy periods, such as meal times, but will automatically close upon the fire alarm being operated. Regulations require that all fire doors should be closed after 11 p.m. Electricity must be treated as a form of heat, and so all electrical equipment must be unplugged when not in use. This includes equipment like hi-fis and televisions. A television left on standby can pose a high fire risk. Do not overload sockets and make regular checks on all plugs, sockets and electrical appliances. If you notice anything faulty, report it to your supervisor immediately. The wiring of plugs, light fittings and other electrical appliances should only be carried out by a suitably trained person. Always keep flammable materials and liquids away from electrical appliances. Smoking is one of the most common causes of fire and is not permitted in fire hazard rooms. Where smoking is permitted, sufficient and suitably placed ashtrays must be provided. They should be attached to stands so that they cannot easily be knocked over. Inspections must take place at regular intervals and about half an hour after the smoking areas have been vacated for the night, to ensure that discarded smokers' materials are removed and that they have not ignited other materials. Smoking in bed is dangerous and should not be allowed. Night staff should carry out regular checks, especially on problem smokers. Residents who cannot be trusted to smoke only in the smoker's lounge should not be allowed to look after their own cigarettes and matches. All staff should be aware of the location of the main fire panel and all fire alarm activation points within the building. If you discover a fire, the first thing you must do is to sound the alarm. This involves either activating the fire alarm yourself or shouting to attract attention. You must do this before attempting to tackle the fire or commencing an evacuation. In the event of an alarm, always ensure that the fire brigade has been called, even if the alarm system has an automatic link to the fire brigade. If it's your responsibility to call, remember to dial 999, not the local fire station. A 999 call will always be answered. Speak slowly and clearly. Ask for the fire brigade, then state your telephone number and your full address. Inform your supervisor of your actions. Ensure that the main entrance is unlocked and that the fire brigade will have easy access to the building. If you hear the fire alarm, you should immediately go to the evacuation assembly point. This is usually by the main fire panel, which will indicate the location of the fire. Fire extinguishers and fire blankets are for use in tackling a fire in its early stages. It is vital that all staff feel confident about their operation. You should become familiar with the location of fire extinguishers, know which type of extinguisher to use on different types of fire, and understand how to operate them. Extinguishers will usually be sited on a line of exit, near to danger points, near a door, inside or out, depending on occupancy. If the fire is still in its early stages and safe to tackle, you should locate the nearest extinguisher appropriate for the type of fire and attempt to extinguish it. But remember, always sound the alarm first. The most common types of extinguisher are water, foam, dry powder, and carbon dioxide. Under EU regulations, all new and replacement extinguishers must be red with a colour band around that matches the old extinguisher colour. All extinguishers work by removing one of the three elements of the triangle of fire. Extinguishers manufactured to EU standards will be marked with their contents and operating instructions in 3 simple steps. Operation of fire extinguishers is simple, but a few rules need to be followed. Remember the acronym PASS. Pull out the safety pin, aim the nozzle at the fire, squeeze the trigger, sweep. Use a sweeping motion. When pulling out the safety pin, don't hold the trigger, as this may grip the pin, preventing its removal. Water extinguishers are red in colour and are suitable for carbon-based materials such as wood, paper, textiles and other similar solid materials. To operate, pull out the safety pin. This will break the plastic seal which indicates whether the extinguisher has been used before. Carry the extinguisher to a safe distance from the fire, 6 meters or 20 feet if possible. Place the extinguisher on the floor and kneel down next to it. Point the nozzle at the fire and squeeze the trigger. Always keep low. Aim at the base of the fire, gradually moving in as the fire is extinguished. And never stand over the fire, even after it's gone out. The water extinguishes the fire by cooling. It removes the heat from the triangle of fire. Foam extinguishers are either red with a cream band or cream. They are suitable for fires involving burning liquids such as cooking fat. Again, when using, keep low down and spray from a slightly closer distance of around 4 meters. The foam is water-based and can therefore be used on the same materials as a water extinguisher in addition to burning liquids. The foam forms a blanket over the burning liquid, cutting off the oxygen from the triangle of fire. The third extinguisher is dry powder. This is either red with a blue band or blue. It is for use on electrical equipment, machinery, flammable liquids and gases, paper, wood, textiles and fabrics. Dry powder works by covering the fire in a cloud of powder, thereby cutting off the oxygen supply and suffocating the fire. Again, keep low down at a safe distance until the fire has been extinguished. It's recommended for use only in kitchen and boiler room areas. If used in confined living areas or corridors, it could impede a rescue or escape by reducing visibility. It is extremely messy. Finally, we have the carbon dioxide extinguisher. This is either red with a black band or black. Again, this extinguisher is used on fires caused by electrical equipment, burning liquids, and if there is no risk of explosion, on burning gases. It works by covering the fire with a cloud of carbon dioxide, again cutting off the oxygen supply. With this extinguisher, you need to be closer to the fire for it to be effective. Do not touch the horn or connecting pipe, as there can be a buildup of frost and ice which may cause cold burns. A fire blanket is very effective on contained burning liquids such as a chip pan fire. It extinguishes the fire by cutting off its oxygen supply. If possible, you should attempt to remove the heat source before using a fire blanket on a burning liquid. If this cannot be done, the power should be turned off once the blanket is in place. Make sure you do not put yourself in any danger, and once the blanket is in place, do not remove it. The fire could reignite. Always call the fire brigade and wait for them to remove the blanket. To use a fire blanket, grip the tapes at the top corners. With palms towards you, twist inwards, raise your arms, thus creating a barrier between yourself and the flames. Approach the fire, keeping as low as possible, then lay the blanket over the source of fire. Remember, never use water to extinguish a burning liquid. The result could be fatal. Fire blankets can also be used for people with burning hair or clothes. To do this, make the person lie on the floor and roll or wrap them in the fire blanket as quickly as possible. Remember the rule: stop, drop, roll. A person on fire probably won't stop and let you help them. If necessary, rugby tackle them to the floor. When fighting a fire, there are 2 golden rules to remember. 1. If the fire does not seem to be going out, the doors should be closed on the fire and an escape made. 2. Always keep your exit behind you so that you can escape quickly if necessary. Remember, report any incidents or fire hazards you become aware of. If a fire occurs, always call the fire brigade, even if the fire has been extinguished. Check, recheck, and double check. There will always be somebody who decides to smoke where they shouldn't. Always one piece of equipment about to short circuit. And always someone who's forgotten one switch or one plug. Always be aware of the risk of fire and look out for potential fire hazards. Don't be complacent. Fire threatens everyone's safety. It's your duty to prevent it.